Hello, hello. Good day, everybody, on this live webinar today. I am glad to see you. I'm glad to have you. And I'm excited actually to have you today because today is a very interesting one. So just quickly give me a second so I can update my list to see who is there with me. And to remind you that you can talk to me if you want to on the chat, and you can send me your questions if you have any questions. I will try to answer them at the end of the webinar. I'm so glad to see old faces joining, new faces joining. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. And let me open the chat as well. Hi, Iham. How are you? Okay, I'm just going to open the chat and put it in. I will need to pop this out. Bear with me so I can have your chat, I can have you, and I can have access to my face as well. How is everybody doing tonight? I'm so excited because the topic I have for you tonight is really one that is very close to my heart. And when I tell you the story, or I have so many stories actually with this topic, you will understand why it's so close to my heart. Before we start, I just finished my decluttering. Sometimes I declutter just, on daily basis. It's not really decluttering, but I just like to keep the space tidy. I call it my own Feng Shui process, So I do that almost every day because I have my cats and I have my dog, and sometimes they just mess things around. So I clear the space from that energy. We're going to talk about this later on today. Now, I want you to know that we're going to be together for almost an hour. I would really love it if you can, talk to me, tell me what you like, what you are experiencing with what I'm telling you, if it's resonating with you, if you have any questions, or if you just have something to share, please feel free to share it. You have the chat open, you can talk, and you can even talk to each other if you feel like it. And we're going to be together, like I said, for an hour almost. What I want from you is I want you to stick to the end, because at the end, I have an invitation, a special invitation for every single one of you. So then we can talk after that invitation. Now, today's topic is about clutter and how clutter affects our space. And we're going to be talking about something very specific that helps our space become more open and more receptive, if you wish. When we talk about this, when I go through the topic today, you're going to understand what I'm talking about, and you're going to understand what I mean. And it will be clearer. So before I start, I want to tell you a story, my own story with clutter. And like I said at the beginning, I have so many of those. It's not just one, it's not two, it's a lot of stories. And I'll tell you why. Unfortunately, my mom is a hoarder. And a hoarder means somebody who collects, or not really collects, but somebody who does not throw anything away. Somebody who keeps things lying around, and whether they need them or not does not really matter. It's just somebody who keeps things lying around. And in the hope, or in the thinking that someday maybe they will need those things. So that's what a hoarder is. And a hoarder is somebody who collects and keeps. And something very interesting about hoarders, you may think that they don't know what they have, or you may think that they may get lost with the amount or the number of things that they have, but they don't. They know every single detail about everything that they have. let me tell you my story. So, as I said, my mom is a hoarder, and I was born in a country. When I was born, actually, the country was in political problems. Like, my country is always in political problems. But when I was born, there was war, not just political unrest, there was war. And war meant that we had to move a lot. We had to always go from one place to another so that we don't get, we are not in a danger zone. So we would always move from one place to another. Because of that move, we used to always take things with us. And my mother, because of the fact that she was a hoarder, it was impossible for her to really minimize on anything. So everything for her, you had to be big. Everything for her had to be a lot. So I remember when we used to go, for example, from our house in the city to our house in the mountains, I was with my two brothers. My sister was not born yet at that time. And we would always be going back and forth from the house to the car, just bringing stuff and stuff and stuff to put them in the car. And my father, God bless him, my father used to love doing this exercise. It was like, for him, it was a challenge to make sure that everything that my mother manages to take with us to the mountains would actually find a place or a space in the bonnet of the car. So we would go and bring bags and plastic bags and clothes bags and shoes and food and what have you, like anything that you can think of used to go inside the boot of the car. But my father would never put everything at once. So he would always make us bring everything, and then he would start doing the exercise. And I remember everything used to be neatly placed in the boot of the car. And my mother used to always make sure that the boot of the car is like really full. So there is no more space for anything, And we used to go to the mountains after, like, it used to take us, I think, almost half an hour to 40 minutes just to put everything in the car, get in the car, and move. Once we used to get home in the mountains, we have to do the reverse exercise, right? So we need to bring everything out, and my mother would put things away. Now, things away does not really mean away. She has a very special way of just putting things in places. And that's what hoarding is all about. When you have so many things lying around, there isn't really an empty space around. So the more stuff that you bring, or the more stuff that she used to bring, she would find the weirdest places in the house to put the new stuff in, and to like hide or put things away, which is usually not very much away. It's like in front of you, you can see everything. And it becomes like, it's as if you are going inside a warehouse. If you've ever been into a warehouse that is not really tidy, because usually warehouses should be tidy because they have, special ranking or racking systems where you need to put things, and then there's always this inventory process for the things that are in a warehouse. Except with my mother, it was a very unorganized warehouse. Things were all over the place, and they still are, unfortunately. And there is no order to anything. except, believe it or not, in her own mind. People who are hoarders, it's like they have an Excel sheet in their mind and they know really, literally where everything is. I'll tell you how I found that out. I remember she used to always tell us never throw anything, like we could use this somewhere somehow for something, so there were always things that were not supposed to be thrown away, like jars, like plastic jars, like plastic bags. The rubbers. I don't know if you've ever lived in a country where they use kind of like rubber. It's a metal that is very thin, like a small filament, right? And there's plastic around it, and you tie it to close like where you, like a bag where you have the bread or the bread loaf or whatever. So even those little things, like if you think of a rubber band, let's say, my mom would never throw something like that. And you would always find these things in our home, even until today. If I tell you a story that happened last year, my father was actually not feeling well, and he hadn't slept for like 21 days. And I actually had to leave where I am today. I don't live in the same country. So I had to travel to be with him and to take care of him because he was not feeling well and my mom was not able to take care of him properly. So I went, and because he was not sleeping, he started having those hallucinations, and he did not know where he was. He did not know what was happening around him. So it was not a little bit, it was very, very bad. And I actually thought that he was starting to have Alzheimer's. That is how bad it was, until I took him to a specialized doctor, and we realized that he was having a UTI. And usually when elderly people have UTI and it's not fixed and it's not properly diagnosed and fixed, they start having hallucinations. Now, why am I telling you this? Because that incident, when I was there and my father was having those hallucinations, and he was not able to sleep at night, and he would wake up and look around, and because our house is full of things, my father would start talking to the things around him in the house. So if he sees, like, my mom has a lot of pictures of everybody in the family, and some pictures of people we don't even know are lying around or just on the walls. There's a corridor between where we like sit and watch TV, the living room, and the rest of the house, the restroom, my father's study. There's a very small corridor, which is literally like a pathway, right? And it's like, I don't know, maybe 1.5 meters wide and 3 or 4 meters long. That very space has as many cupboards and small not really dressers, but something like a dresser, all along those 4 meters. And on the walls, you have pictures of nieces, nephews, us, some pictures of people we don't even know, like art and ointments and just jargon. Everything that she can put her hand on is lying there. So my father, because he was not really very aware, okay, and very conscious, as he would walk in that pathway, he would start talking to the things around him. He would start talking to the pictures. And really, for me, it was so alarming. But the funny thing is that my mom did not even notice that there was a problem. And after we started supporting my dad and helping him with his condition and giving him the proper medication and him starting to feel a little better, my two siblings were already at the house. Again, my sister came from the US and my brother flew from here as well, where I live. And we were talking and we thought that, the best way to help him is to remove everything from his passage so that he does not keep on hallucinating this way and talking to things around him. So we started clearing the living room from all the clutter that was in it. We cleared the pathway so that my father can actually walk around without hurting himself either, because he had hurt himself before by tumbling. And he's an old man, and he was not feeling okay. The way my mother reacted to all of this was shocking to every single one of us, myself and my two siblings. And we couldn't really understand, but she has this attachment to every single thing that she owns, every single thing that she has put inside of this house is kind of part of who she is. And this is the thing about clutter. Clutter becomes part of you if you do not release it. And when it becomes part of you, it actually starts draining you. It starts taking away from your own energy because, as you know, everything around us is about energy. Everything is energy. We are energy. The things around us are energy. And this is why it is important that we keep an eye on our surrounding and we keep an eye on what is happening in our surrounding and what is the energy that we feel in that surrounding. So, for example, I have to tell you, every time I go to visit my parents, when I was there last time when my father was sick, that was the last time I was there. The minute I entered the house, I felt this like very heavy weight on my shoulders. I felt like there is something that is really sitting on my shoulders and weighing so heavy that I could sometimes find it difficult for me to breathe in that space. Let me know if sometimes you go in places like this and you feel this heaviness and you feel this weight around you. Sometimes it might be even your space. If you go outside of your own space or outside of your home and you feel a little lighter, this means that the energy in your own space is being drained. Your energy is being drained by your environment, by everything that you have around you. And I told you I have so many stories about clutter and decluttering, because for me, this was a pivot moment in my own life. And I actually included decluttering as part of my program that helps people to get out of their procrastination and to stop repeating their mistakes, because I made that breakthrough myself. Decluttering my own space helped me get out of my own destructive patterns. And this is why I include this in a full part of my program, so that I can help people get out of this energy draining process of keeping things lying around. And clutter, today we're going to be talking about the clutter in the space and in our environment, but clutter does not only happen physically. Clutter is also about what you think. It's also about your feelings. It's also about your priorities. It's also about the people that you keep in your life and the people that you decide to let go of. When you are decluttering, you could be also decluttering the people who in your life drain you. And this is maybe one of the most difficult exercises to do, but it is one of the most rewarding ones, because we don't usually understand how much people are draining us until we push them away. And by pushing them away, that does not mean that we have to fight with them, or we have to like literally be negative about it, or be destructive in a way, or even be rude. And, we can do it in a very smart way. And we can do it. Sometimes some people need very strict kind of directions to get out of your life. But a lot of people can understand from only you setting the proper boundaries for people in your life, right? It doesn't really have to be a very negative process to really declutter the people in your life. But we're not going to be talking about decluttering people. It's just a message that was coming through, and I had to say it to you because that was needed to be said. Today, what we're going to be talking about is the energy of clutter, the energy of things that are lying around. Like I said at the beginning, everything is energy, and everything is about how energy moves. We as human beings have an energetic space, or an energetic surrounding that is called our aura. I'm sure you've heard about it, and you've heard about the aura of people. Now, your aura is actually your energetic field. You want to think about it like, if you know how magnets work, magnets have an energetic field around them. And we as human beings, as physical bodies, have the same. It's kind of like an energetic field that goes around us. The more we are in harmony with ourselves, with our energy, with our thoughts, with our words, with our vibration, the bigger our aura is, or the bigger our energetic field is. Now, because we have an energetic field around us, I want you to think about this way. Let's say I am in a bottle, and my aura is big, and my aura needs a bigger space than the bottle, because if I'm in the bottle and my aura is big, that means that the bottle is actually keeping my aura imprisoned. The same thing happens when you are thinking of your space. That's how you want to think about your space. So if you are sitting in a space where you have a lot of things lying around, you have to understand that every single thing of these things has got an energetic field around it. And it is about the energy as well. So if I have 10 cupboards in my room, it means that the space around my room is being held by these cupboards, and the energy of my room is also being held by these cupboards. What that means is that myself, I will not have any more space for my own energy. And that means that everything around me is actually depleting my energy. It's like, if you feel like when you go, like I said at the beginning, if you go into a space and there are lots of things around, you feel heavy, you feel drained, You feel like somebody is taking your energy away from you. This is how energy works. Now, if you are in such a space, what happens is because of this abundance, I'm going to call it abundance, even though abundance means good. But in this case, when you have a lot of other energies lying around and your energy is being depleted, what happens is that it's literally like that. You don't feel there is space for you. And if you don't feel there's space for you, what does that mean? That means that you as a person cannot even develop, cannot even progress, cannot even become better because everything around you is taking away your energy. Does that resonate? Does that make sense to you? I see a lot of you talking and saying, I'll read those later because there's a lot to read, but I promise I'll read those later. But, it's like everything around you is taking away your energy. You feel you won't be able to do much. You feel lazy. You feel drained. And you feel tired all the time. That's not because you are tired. That's because there is no space for your own energy. And that's what happens when you are in those surroundings. Your progress stops, and your ability to really manifest things in your life, to really bring things to you, to be receptive, it does not work. Why? Because there is no space for you to receive, because your place is already full. So you want to think about it this way. Let's say you are moving into a house that already has a lot of furniture. For you to bring your own furniture to this house, you need to clear it. You cannot bring your furniture in, right? If this space is not cleared. This is exactly how manifestation and receiving from the universe works. If your space is cluttered, is filled with things that are most of the time useless, most of the time you don't even know you have these things. Like when you do the decluttering exercise, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, you will find out that there are lots of things that you have that you don't even remember having. You don't even remember buying. You don't even know why you have them. And even when you are doing the decluttering exercise, you would be thinking, why do I have this? Like, when did I ever use this? Where did it come from? Sometimes we even forget how things were given to us or how things have become part of our belongings. And this is how the energy of clutter works. So what we want to do in order for us to be able to receive, we want to make sure that our space is open, is welcoming, is a space that is attractive for things that we want and that we desire in our life to actually come to our space. And this is why it's very important to work on your environment, where you live, the space that you live in. I'm going to talk later about specifically about Feng Shui and how Feng Shui works and what's the importance of you working with colors. You see, like people who see this behind me, they don't really, sometimes they only see the chakras and they think it's only about the chakras and this is what I'm like, what it's all about. But when I'm going to be talking later about Feng Shui, you will understand the importance of the colors that I have in the back here. I'll explain to you what they mean to me. And every single one of us has got this relationship with their space and with their environment. I'm going to talk about it when I get to the Feng Shui part. Now, I talk a lot and I always say clutter is an energy drainer. It just drains our energy. It just takes away from our energy. And it is very important that we declutter our space. Now, decluttering the space is not something that we should do all the time. Like the real decluttering or the real exercise of declutter is something that you should do once, and you wouldn't have to ever, like literally, ever do it again if you do it right. There is a very, very specific way for people or for you to declutter specifically the space around you, and also everything in your life, not just the space, but mostly the space. If you declutter it in the right way, you will never need to do that exercise again. And the right way is actually to do the exercise with the right intention and in the right mindset. When you're doing the exercise of decluttering, you want to remember that you are doing this not from a lack perspective. So when you do the exercise and you want to let go of things, first of all, to do the exercise right, you want to really understand what is the relationship that you have with the things that you own. And everything that you own, you have a relationship with. That relationship can be nothing. So if you don't have a relationship with one of your belongings, I'm going to ask you, why do you keep it? Answer me if you have an answer for me. If everything around you does not really matter to you or means nothing to you, why do you keep it? Ask yourself this question. And when you are doing this exercise, keep this question in your mind. Does this mean something to me? Does this really mean anything to me? And if it doesn't, it should not be in your space. Now, if it means something negative to you, that's even worse. It certainly should not be in your space. I'll give you an example. Let's say you've been in a relationship with a man, a woman, whomever. And that relationship was very toxic. And those people have gone out of your life. They're no longer existing in your life. However, in your place, you have something from these people. You have something that always reminds you of them, whether consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter. But if it's lying there and it's reminding you of these people, and these people have been toxic to you in your life, guess what? The energy of that object, whatever it is the same energy of your relationship with those people. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if you feel like this, you resonate with this and it's making sense to you. So, for example, I mean, I have lots of friends who have been in relationships, and they always brag about how, for example, a lady kept her, I don't know, like engagement ring from her toxic fiance, or somebody left their I don't know, gifts that they've received for Valentine or whatever from that person who actually made their life a miserable one. Why would you keep things like this? And guess what? These are the most difficult belongings for us as human beings to let go of. So when we are doing this exercise, we want to really ask ourselves, what is the relationship that we have with those belongings? What is the relationship of those belonging with our space? Like, do they make sense to be present in our space? And let me tell you something. If you are in a relaxed, and in fact, when your space and your environment, I'm going to talk about it a bit later as well, is properly inhabited by other components than you, your energy and your relaxation process and your thinking process is way more open, if you want, because there is enough space for you to be relaxed and thinking properly. So you want to understand what is, like, if there's something in your space, is it really making sense in that space? Like, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. Like, my mother has a cupboard that has clothes inside the dining room in our house back in Lebanon, in the mountains. Like, does that cupboard make sense in that space? I'm going to explain it just in a bit. I'm going to explain about the aura. Just give me some time. I'll go back to it. So you want to really think, does that element make sense in that space? What is the relationship between that element and the space that you are in? If the relationship makes sense, then that element makes sense to be there. If the relationship doesn't make sense, that means that this element has got to go from this very specific space. Does that make sense? Let me know if it's making sense to you. Now, what also you want to remember is, what is your relationship with your belongings? Just like I said earlier, what happens is, most of the time when we are doing our decluttering exercise, the hardest part of doing this exercise is when we get to the things or belongings that actually are emotional to us, or that are related to our memories, maybe related to our childhood, maybe related to other people in our lives that we would like to remember, or sometimes, like I said earlier, that we shouldn't remember. You know, if we have things that are lying around, even if they bring us maybe sometimes good memories, like very few good memories from very long toxic relationships, in our subconscious mind, these belongings are related to people who have hurt us. They should not be in our space. It's as simple as that. And I'm giving you this as an exercise for you to go ahead and try in your own space, in your own environment. I want you to do this exercise for yourself. If you have belongings that you think are emotional to you, like they remind you of good times, or they remind you of specific people in your life, you want to ask yourself these very important questions. Are these belongings really helping me in my life, helping me in my space? Are they supporting my development? Are they supporting my move forward in my life? Or are they keeping me stuck? Like the example that I gave about keeping, those gifts that sometimes we receive from people who have been toxic to us, who have hurt us, especially when it comes to relationships. I tell you from my own experience, I used to keep gifts from men who were part of my life at one point in time. And I never understood how much the effect of these things was actually on me and on my space, until I let go. The minute I let go, things started changing for me. I personally became more energetic when it came to allowing like the right people in my life. When we're talking about relationship, I became more receptive of allowing the right people in my life. I started attracting different kinds of men, not those that are toxic, that used to come and swipe me and make me unhappy and make me sad and dependent, and this is not who I am. So my space was playing a big role in that, in addition to a lot of other things that I worked on, but my space was also very major in that. And I want you to remember something. Everything in our life is interconnected. So when we work on something, we want to work on everything so that we can really move from where we are to where we want to be. It's not just one thing that we are changing. It's not just one thing that we are fixing. We are doing a very big exercise here. It's not just like, let's do this, and the next day we are up and running and everything is beautiful, and we are receiving, and it's not just one exercise. It's a combination of a lot of things. So I want to urge you to do this exercise for yourself at home, in your office. If your office is a place where you keep things, like maybe, for example, let's say you used to work in a company and you were let go, and it was really bad how things happened. And when you left, you took away with you some of the things that you used to have in your office, and you moved them to your new office, to your new work environment. And you feel that your new work environment has got very similar energy. You know why? Because you brought that bad energy with you from your old job, from your old desk, from your old space. So if you are in that space, get rid of things that might be blocking you, that might be destructing the flow of energy in your space. And this is what things do for us. They block the flow of energy. And when they do that, this is where Feng Shui is important. When the flow of energy is not right, it's here again, you want to think of the magnet. If the magnet is not working properly, you won't be able to attract things, right? It won't be able to attract things. So you want to make sure that your space has the right flow, the right harmony in it, so that it can welcome everything that the universe has in store for you, or everything that you yourself want to receive from the universe. So it's very simple. It's like, if you are having people over, if you don't open the door for them, they won't be able to come in. It's a very simple analogy, but it makes a lot of sense, right? That space that I'm talking about, that is filled with stuff, is like the closed door. It's exactly like the closed door. So if you want to open the door for whatever the universe is going to send to you, and the universe is going to send you the things that you desire, that's how this works. That's how manifestations work. If you desire something so bad, if you really desire to be in a place where you want to receive things, you want to have the right space for you to receive those things. And that space starts from everything around you, in your own environment, in your own space. All right? Let me know if that resonates with you. Now, remember, when you want to declutter, you want to understand the relationship that you as a person have with your belongings. If that relationship is negative, that belonging has to go. If that relationship means nothing, so if there is no relationship really between you and your belonging, if it does not move you, if it does not make you feel happy, if it does not give you joy, it should not be in your space. Full stop. It's as simple as that. And you want to disconnect yourself from the neediness of keeping things in your space. Like, yeah, but I really don't want to let go of this. Or what if I need it later? And you know what? Every time you say, what if I need it later? I promise you, later never comes. And if you want to experience this, and if you want to challenge me on this, I ask you to do the exercise. Keep something when you say that I'm going to use it later. And then let me know 1 year later if you have actually used it or not. I can assure you that the answer is going to be no. If you are willing to do this exercise and come back to me after 1 year and tell me, hey, I used it, I'm going to be like really happy that you took on that challenge. But if you take on that challenge really and you do it properly, I'm going to assure you that in 1 year, you're going to come back to me and tell me, you were right. I never used that thing. And now I've gotten rid of it. You want to get rid of it now because it's really not bringing you anything good in your life. Okay? So this is how, or the best way for you to declutter. I again have a huge part of the program that I help people with in their life is really based on decluttering and doing the exercise in the right way, using the right tools, moving from the space to the people, to the time, to the priorities of our life, and how we actually should build boundaries for us in our life so that our space is not invaded by others. And this is what I mean, Khulud, to answer you. This is what I mean by aura. Your aura is actually your space. You want to think about it this way. Like, if you want to consider yourself, like, think of yourself as the center of a sphere. Your aura is the sphere around you. And when you are moving, that sphere moves with you. If I give you an example about how people's auras are felt. So, for example, if you are sitting in a place, let's say you're sitting in a place and the door is behind you and somebody comes in, you cannot really see them, but you actually feel their presence. Have you ever been in such a situation? That presence is actually because the aura of that person is so big that you felt it even before that person has physically come close to you. This is what an aura is all about. That energy that people emit from their physical presence. Okay? If that still does not make sense, let me know. I can maybe explain it separately on a different medium. Now, moving to the third part, and oh my God, I still have only 10 minutes, but we're going to talk about Feng Shui, I promise you, because for me, Feng Shui has been something that, again, changed the way my space works for me. I'm going to give you an example from my own house, and then I'm going to explain to you how Feng Shui works. So, this is where I sit and work. This is my working space. And next to my working space is my living space, kind of my living room. So I have the sofas, I have a small tea table, I have the TV and everything right here, okay? Now, the door of my house is over there. A few months ago, I had my sofas back to me and to my house door. And because I work remotely from home, this means that this space is where I actually receive from the universe everything that is my livelihood, my work, right? So my sofa, having the back of it to the door, means that I am not welcoming people into my space. So this is how Feng Shui works. When you want to welcome people into your space, you should never have something where you sit, like the way you sit is giving your back to your welcoming door, right? To your home door. So it's very important that your door is a place that, or a space that you can actually see when you are sitting in your living space. Does that make sense? So instead of you turning your back, it's like turning your back to people, right? So if you want to bring people to you for your work, you cannot talk to them with your back to them, right? You have to be facing them. You have to be talking to them this way. Otherwise, they will not come in. So that's exactly how this works. Now, what is Feng Shui? Feng Shui is actually a Chinese system of arranging the environment so that you can support and promote harmony and promote balance and the flow of positive energy in your space. This is the art of Feng Shui, okay? Now, in Feng Shui, there are so many different things that you want to take into consideration when you are talking or when you are organizing your space. But the most important thing about Feng Shui is to make sure that your space allows the energy to flow in a positive way. So for me, when I moved my living room or when I moved my sofa in a way that if I'm sitting at my sofa, I'm not giving my back to my home door, I have to tell you, when I did this exercise, I started receiving more clients. I started receiving more projects. I started getting more work. This is how how true and effective this system is. So I want you to do this exercise for yourself as well. And let me know later if you did this exercise, you're on the Facebook group. If you're not on the Facebook group and you are receiving my emails, in every email, there's a tab or a link or something that will take you to the Facebook group. So just join the Facebook group and you can talk to me there and tell me, when you do this exercise, I get very excited because I really want to see the results of this kind of work. I want you to do this exercise, even if it's in your own bedroom. You know, if you are not living alone and you live, for example, with your family, with your parents, yes, do this in your bedroom. Change the way you sit in your bedroom. Have your face towards the door instead of having your back towards the door, and see how things start coming to you. Okay, this is how effective this is. Now, that's why in Feng Shui, placement of furniture is very important, and the placement of the objects around you is very important. And there's also something that is like between Feng Shui and clutter, there's a very direct relationship, because clutter literally blocks the flow of energy, right? We were just talking earlier that the more we have things, the less the energy can move around. So it's like you have blocks. It's very simple. Think about it as if you have a maze and you want to move around, and every time you move, there's something that is blocking you. This is exactly how clutter works. So you want to declutter. You want to release that space so that you can have more energy flowing into your life. And when I say more energy, I'm talking about positive things. I'm talking about the things that you desire, the things that you dream of without even doing a lot of effort. If you do this exercise, sometimes just thinking of something will make it happen just because you have allowed it to come to you, because you have liberated your space and you have created space for what is new, you to welcome it into your life, right? That's how clutter affects the surrounding, and that's how clutter affects, like, that's why the connection between Feng Shui and clutter, because Feng Shui is all about the flow of energy and how important that is. And I told you I'm going to talk about colors. I'm going to talk about this quickly. I think maybe I should do a specific webinar just about Feng Shui to give you an idea of how Feng Shui works. If you've been on the group for a while, in like some time ago, I shared with you a free I don't know what you call it, just a free thing, And I told you, if you want to know about what your energy number is, what your colors are, what your directions are, let me know and I'll do this for you free of charge. That was a while back. Maybe I can re-tag or pin this post so that you know it exists. And if you want me to do this exercise for you, I'm more than happy to do it again. Every single one of us, because Feng Shui is related really to the Chinese system of arranging the space, and it's also related to directions and the planets, and sometimes, the energies around us. It talks a lot about the elements of nature. And when we talk about the elements of nature, we're going to talk also about colors. We're talking about the directions of the space and the elements of nature. And with these elements, something else is also important to note about Feng Shui. Every single one of us, in Feng Shui, every single one of us has got 4 areas in their life: our health, our relationships, our wisdom, and our success. Every single one of these areas is actually specific to the day we were born and the hour we were born. With those 2, we will be able to know. So with our birth date and hour of birth, we will be able to know where our areas should be when it comes to direction. For example, for me, my success direction is the southwest. And where I am sitting right now inside my house, this is actually the southwest direction, because I want to be successful at what I do. And because I work from this space, and this is the success that I'm looking for in my life, I created my workspace in this area so that I can be bringing that success to me. So every single one of us has got a different direction for these areas. For example, my relationship area is in the West. So what I did lately is I created a corner in my house, especially in my bedroom, in the west side of the bedroom, where I have put, statues of couples, loving each other, a nice portrait of two people in the woods, holding hands. Actually, he is carrying her. So this is just for me to keep that space related to relationships in harmony, and where this is what I'm attracting, or this is what I desire to attract in my life, And like I said, the change that I did in my living room by moving the furniture around just made me receive more from everything around me, from the universe, literally. When I opened up that area and I moved the sofa so that when I'm sitting on it, I can actually see the door, things started happening in my life. People started coming to me and asking me for help, asking me for support, because that's what I do. I help people, I support people. That's part of what I do, right? And that is the flow of energy that I'm talking about when it comes to Feng Shui. And this flow is in alignment when we are clutter free. Like I said, this topic, the Feng Shui topic on its own, is actually a very big topic. And I think I'm going to let me know later in the group if you would like me to do a webinar focused only on Feng Shui. I'm more than happy to do that maybe in a couple of weeks. So, but I would want to do that if this is something that you want to know more about. Now, because of the time, and I'm conscious of my time and yours, I want to share with you my invitation. Everything that I talk about, everything that I do because I want to help people. I do because I want to help people grow in their own potential, in their own space. And I truly believe that every single one of us has got a lot of potential within them. But this potential sometimes is hidden, and it's buried because of all the things and all the troubles that we go through in our life and all the limitations that we create for ourselves. Cluttering and decluttering actually is a big part of what I do. And if you are someone who is struggling in this area, and if you feel like you want to know more, you want to learn more, you want to actually grow out of your clutter, and you want to become clutter free, let me know and let's have a chat. I might be able to be the person who helps you through this. And if you think that I can help you, all you need to do is talk to me over Messenger and let me know. And we will have a discussion. I'll check with you. I'll check in with you. I'll see where you are in your life, what you've been doing, what you've been going through, and really where you want to be. And when we discuss this, there are lots of tips that will come through that I will be sharing with you to help you, move, even if a little bit, from where you are to where you want to be. And that process might take a little time. Sometimes it takes longer. It really depends on where you are and how much you desire to develop and grow and really get out of where you are today. So all you need to do is let me know, send me a message, and I will share with you a link where you can actually set up a call with me. It's a free call. We will talk. I'll understand where you are, where you want to be. I'll give you tips about how to move in your life. And at the end of the call, if I feel like I'm the right person to guide you through whatever you are going through, and if I feel that our energy actually works together and we can work together and really I can help you, I will show you what it looks like to work with me. So all you need to do is just let me know, send me a message, start this conversation with me, and we will take it from there. So you can book that call and have that call with me, and then I can show you how it looks like to work with me. Thank you so much for being with me today. I've taken a lot of your time, and I really appreciate you being here, the new faces and the old faces who have joined since like it's been a while. I'm so happy that you were here. I'm going to read the chat. I will download it. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to answer all those questions separately. And if you have any questions, like I always say, please do not hesitate to message me on Facebook. And remember, if there's something that you want me to focus on, that you want me to talk about, I'm always available on Facebook Messenger. Just let me know, and I'll try to make that on an upcoming live webinar. And for now, I'm going to say good night. For me, it's good night. And I will see you again next week. Ciao, ciao.